The galaxy sent peace envoys to Earth humanity. Answered with Formidable Power Part 1. The ships came without warning on a cold morning in March. 200 vessels appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system, each one larger than anything humanity had ever built. They hung in the darkness like silver mountains, their surfaces glowing with strange lights that pulsed in patterns no human could understand. Yoon Dae-ho stood in the command center of the United Earth Council, watching the screens with calm eyes. He was 63 years old, with gray hair and a face marked by decades of service. Before becoming Secretary General, he had been a soldier. He had seen war. He had seen peace. And now he was seeing something that would change everything. "They are requesting communication," said Kim So-ra, the commander of Earth's Orbital Defense Network. She was younger than Dae-ho, perhaps 40, with sharp features and the steady hands of someone who had spent her life preparing for exactly this moment. "Open the channel." The main screen flickered, and then a figure appeared. It was tall and thin, made of what looked like living crystal. Light moved through its body like blood through veins. When it spoke, its voice was clear and musical, translated instantly by Earth computers. "I am Ambassador Veltris of the Galactic Concord. I speak for 400 civilizations. We come in peace." Dae-ho stepped forward. "I am Yoon Dae-ho, Secretary General of the United Earth Council. I speak for humanity. We welcome you." The crystal being tilted its head. The gesture seemed almost human. "We have watched your species for many years. Your expansion into the stars has been remarkable. In 2 centuries, you have claimed 12 star systems. You have built warships. You have developed weapons." Veltris paused. "This concerns us." "We've only defended ourselves," Dae-ho replied. "The galaxy is dangerous." "The galaxy was dangerous," Veltris said. "The Concord brought order. The Concord brought peace. For 10,000 years, there has been no war among our member species. We have achieved what you cannot imagine." Dae-ho felt the weight of those words. 10,000 years of peace. It sounded like a dream. But something in the ambassador's tone made him careful. "What do you want from us?" he asked. Veltris raised one thin arm, and images appeared in the air beside him. They showed Earth's history: wars, bombs, cities burning, millions dead. The images moved fast, century after century of violence and suffering. "Your species is aggressive," Veltris said. "You fight among yourselves. You destroy your own world. And now you bring this violence to the stars. The Concord cannot allow this." "We have changed," Dae-ho said. "Humanity is united now. We have not had a major war in over 100 years. 100 years is nothing," Veltris replied. "Your violence is in your blood. Your history proves this. But we do not wish to destroy you. We wish to help you. We offer you membership in the Galactic Concord." For a moment, hope flickered in Dae-ho's chest. Membership, alliance, perhaps. This was truly an offer of friendship. Then Veltris continued. "The terms are simple. You will reduce your fleet to 50 vessels for defense only. You will stop your expansion beyond your current systems. You will allow Concord observers on Earth and all your colonies. And you will share all your technology with us, so we may ensure it is not used for war." The command center went silent. Dae-ho could feel the anger rising around him, but he kept his face calm. "And if we refuse?" he asked. Veltris's crystalline body flickered with color. "The Concord has brought peace to many species. Some accepted our guidance willingly. Others required correction. We have the power to enforce our terms. But we prefer cooperation." "You are threatening us," Dae-ho said quietly. "We are offering you a choice," Veltris replied. "Peace under our protection, or consequences you cannot survive. You have 72 hours to decide. The screen went dark. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Kim Sora stepped closer to Daeho. "They want us to surrender," she said. Her voice was hard. "Everything we built, everything we achieved. They want us to become their servants." "I know," Daeho said. "What do we do?" Daeho looked at the screens showing the alien fleet. 200 ships, each one powerful enough to destroy a city. And behind them, 400 civilizations with technology far beyond humanity's. Understanding dawned, but Yoon Daeho had not survived. 63 years by, giving up when things looked impossible. "Call an emergency meeting of all Earth governments," he said. "And call Admiral Park, G1. Tell him to move the First Fleet to defensive positions. The Concord will see that as aggression," Sora warned. "They already see us as aggressive," Daeho replied. "We might as well be prepared." Over the next hours, Daeho spoke with leaders from every nation on Earth and every human colony. The debate was fierce. Some wanted to accept the Concord's terms. "Peace at any price," they said. Survival was more important than pride, but others refused. They had read the histories. They had studied the other species the Concord had helped. Those species had given up their weapons, their independence, their cultures. And slowly, over centuries, they had faded away. Their languages forgotten, their traditions erased, their people reduced to workers serving the greater Concord. This was not peace. This was slow death. The vote came just before the deadline. It was not unanimous, but it was clear. Earth would not surrender. Daeho recorded his response himself. He spoke simply, without anger, without pride. "Ambassador Veltris, the people of Earth, thank you for your offer. We understand your concerns about our history. You are right that we have been violent. We have hurt each other. We have nearly destroyed ourselves. But we have also learned. We have grown. We have built something worth protecting. We cannot accept terms that would end our freedom. But we do not want war. We propose a different path. True negotiation. Equal partnership. If the Concord is truly about peace, then let us find peace together as equals." He sent the message and waited. The response came within an hour. Ambassador Veltris appeared on screen again, and this time there was no warmth in his musical voice. "You have chosen poorly," he said. "The Concord does not negotiate with lesser species. You will learn the cost of defiance." The screen went dark again. Kim Sora was already at her station, her fingers moving across the controls. "Their fleet is moving. They're heading toward Jupiter." "Europa," Daeho said. 3 million people lived in the colony there. Families, children. They're going to attack Europa. Should I scramble the defense fleet? Daeho closed his eyes for just a moment. When he opened them, they were hard as stone. "Yes, and Sora?" "Sir, show them what humans can do." She smiled grimly. "Sir, our defense systems have already locked onto every Concord vessel. They don't even know it yet." For the first time in hours, Daeho allowed himself a small smile. The galaxy thought humans were primitive, violent, dangerous. They were about to find out just how right they were. The cell where Veltris stayed was no longer a prison. It had been transformed into quarters, with lights adjusted for his crystalline body and spaces large enough for him to move freely. Humans came and went, bringing food, bringing questions, bringing something Veltris had not expected. Conversation. Choi Hyun-woo became his most frequent visitor. The soldier would sit outside the cell, sometimes for hours, talking about nothing and everything. He spoke of his childhood on Earth, in a small town near the sea. He spoke of his family, his children, his hopes for their future. He spoke of the wars he had fought, the friends he had lost, the nightmares that still visited him in the dark hours. Veltris listened, at first with confusion, then with curiosity, and finally with something close to wonder. "Why do you tell me these things?" Veltris asked one evening. "I am your enemy." Hyan Wu shrugged. "Were you my enemy? You came here thinking you were bringing peace. You believed you were helping us. I was wrong. Maybe, but you didn't know that. You did what you thought was right. That's not evil. That's just being wrong." Veltris considered this. In the Concord, being wrong was the same as being weak, and weakness was erased. "Your people are strange." "We are," Hyan Wu agreed with a small smile. "We've spent our whole history fighting each other, killing each other, and yet somehow we're still here, still trying to be better. The Concord would say that proves you are dangerous. The Concord would be right." Hyan Wu's smile faded. "We are dangerous. We know how to hurt. We know how to destroy. But we also know how to heal, how to forgive, how to rebuild." He paused. The Concord forgot those things. 10,000 years of peace made them forget what it means to struggle, to grow, to change. Veltris was silent for a long time. The next day, Yun De-ho came to see him. The Secretary General looked tired. The weeks since the battle had been difficult. The Concord Armada was gathering. 1,000 ships would soon be on their way to Earth. "Ambassador," De-ho said, sitting across from Veltris, "I have a question for you." "Ask. When the Armada comes, we will fight. We will probably lose. My species may be destroyed. But before that happens, I want to understand something." He leaned forward. "Why does the Concord really do this? Pacify species? Erase their cultures? What is the purpose?" Veltris considered the question. For centuries, he had never asked it himself. He had simply believed. "Fear," he finally said. "The Concord began 10,000 years ago, after a great war. Many species died. Worlds were destroyed. The survivors decided the war itself was the enemy. So they created the Concord to ensure it could never happen again. By controlling everyone. By protecting everyone," Veltris corrected. But even as he said it, the words felt hollow. The High Arbiters believe that dangerous species must be managed. Given too much freedom, they will eventually destroy themselves and others. Better to guide them, shape them, make them safe. "Make them servants," De-ho said quietly. Veltris could not deny it. "Perhaps. I did not see it that way before." But now, he trailed off. De-ho reached into his coat and pulled out a small device. "Dr. Han Eun-bai asked me to show you this." He activated the device, and images appeared in the air. They showed worlds. Beautiful worlds, full of life and color. Then the images changed. The same worlds, but empty, gray, dead. "These are the species the Concord pacified," De-ho said. 23 civilizations. Some existed for millions of years before the Concord found them. Now they're gone. Not destroyed in war. Just faded away. Their people stopped having children. Their cultures were forgotten. They died of despair. Veltris watched the images. He recognized some of the species. He had helped pacify 2 of them himself. One of those species, De-ho continued, was called the Velthrani. They were crystalline beings, much like you. Veltris went still. "I know of them. Ancient history. They died out long ago. They were your ancestors, Ambassador, or your cousins, at least. The Concord found them 4,000 years ago. They were considered too aggressive, too independent. They were pacified. And within 1,000 years, they were gone." The images showed the last of the Velthrani. A handful of beings, their crystalline bodies cracked and dim, standing in empty cities, waiting for an end that had been decided for them before they were born. Veltris stared at the images. His body flickered with colors he could not control. Pain, grief, rage. "I did not know," he whispered. "The Concord doesn't teach this history," Deho said. "They don't want their members to know what really happens to pacified species." But Dr. Hand found the records. Hidden, erased, but not completely gone. Veltris turned to face the human. "Why show me this?" "Because I'm going to ask you to betray everything you've believed for 300 years. Deho's voice was gentle but firm. "The Armada is coming. We can't defeat 1,000 ships. Not alone. But maybe we don't have to fight alone. Maybe there are others in the Concord who have doubts. Others who wonder if peace through control is really peace at all. You want me to help you destroy the Concord. No, I want you to help me change it. The galaxy doesn't need the Concord to fall. It needs the Concord to become what it claims to be. A true coalition. A real partnership. Where species are protected, not controlled. Where cultures are preserved, not erased." Veltris was quiet for a long time. Through the small window of his quarters, he could see stars. Somewhere out there, 1,000 ships were preparing to destroy everything these humans had built. But also out there, billions of beings trapped in a system that slowly killed them while calling it peace. Beings like the Velthrani, beings who had been forgotten. "There is someone," Veltris said slowly. "Councilor Thrain. You spoke with them before. They have doubts, and they are not alone. There are others in the Concord who whisper questions they dare not ask aloud. Will they help us? I do not know. The Concord punishes dissent harshly. To speak against the High Arbiters is to invite destruction." Veltris paused. "But perhaps, if they see that resistance is possible, if they see that the old order can be challenged, perhaps then they will find their courage." Deho stood and offered his hand in the human gesture of agreement. "Then help us show them. Help us prove that the galaxy can be different." Veltris looked at the offered hand. Such a small thing. Such a fragile gesture. And yet it meant more than any treaty the Concord had ever written. He reached out and took it. "I will try," he said, "but you must understand what this means. The Concord will not simply give up. They will fight with everything they have. And if we lose, there will be no mercy. Not for you. Not for me. Not for anyone who dared to resist." Deho nodded. "We understand. We've been fighting impossible odds for as long as we can remember. It's kind of our thing." Despite everything, Veltris felt something strange. A warmth in his crystalline core. Something that felt almost like hope. "Then let us begin," he said. "The Armada comes. We have much to do." And somewhere in the darkness between stars, Councilor Thrain received a message. A message that carried not threats, but promise. Not demands, but invitation. A message that changed everything. The emergency meeting took place deep beneath the mountains of Switzerland, in a bunker that had survived 3 world wars. Leaders appeared on screens from every corner of Earth and from the 12 colonies scattered across nearby stars. Their faces showed fear, anger, and uncertainty. Deho stood before them, his hand steady despite the weight of what he was about to say. "The Concord fleet is moving toward Europa," he began. 3 million of our people live there. We have approximately 18 hours before they arrive. Then we must negotiate," said the European representative, her voice shaking. "We cannot fight 400 civilizations." "We are not fighting 400 civilizations," Admiral Park G1 replied. He was a large man with a scarred face and the cold eyes of someone who had commanded soldiers in battle. "We are fighting 200 ships. Ships that do not know what we can do. What can we do?" asked the representative from the Mars colonies. "Their technology is thousands of years beyond ours." G1 smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. "That is what they believe. That is what everyone believes. That is what we wanted them to believe." He touched a control, and the screens changed. They showed ships, human ships, but not the small, simple vessels the galaxy had seen. These were massive, sleek, armed with weapons that glowed with dark energy. For 150 years, G1 explained, humanity has been preparing. We knew we were not alone in the galaxy. We knew that someday someone would come. And we knew that peace through weakness is not peace at all. It is surrender waiting to happen. You build a secret fleet? The Australian representative looked stunned. We built many things, G1 said. The 7th defense grid around Jupiter's moons. Stealth frigates that can move unseen. Weapons that our scientists developed by studying every piece of alien technology we could find. He paused. We are not helpless. We never were. The room fell silent. Deho spoke again. The question is not whether we can fight. The question is whether we should. War will cost lives. Perhaps millions of lives. And even if we win this battle, Concord has thousands more ships. Then what choice do we have? Asked the lunar representative. Surrender or die. Before Deho could answer, a new voice interrupted. There may be another way. The screen shifted to show a woman in a white coat standing in a laboratory. She was perhaps 50, with tired eyes and the distracted look of someone who spent more time with machines than people. Her name was Han Yunbai, and she was the chief scientist at the Lunar Research Station. I have been studying the Concorde for 20 years, she said. Their communications, their histories, everything we could intercept or steal. And I have learned something important. Speak, Deho said. Yunbai touched her own controls, and new images appeared. They showed aliens. Different species. But they all had something in common. They looked empty, broken. Their cities were clean and orderly, but there was no life in them. No art, no music, no joy. The Concorde has pacified 23 species before us, Yunbai said. They call it bringing peace. But look at what peace means to them. These species gave up their weapons. They accepted Concorde observers. They followed the rules. And within a few generations, they were gone. Not killed, just erased. Their cultures forgotten. Their people turned into workers for the greater Concorde. Some species went extinct entirely. The images continued. Empty worlds. Silent cities. Monuments to civilizations that no longer existed. This is what they offer us, Yunbai said. Not peace. Extinction. How do we know this is true? Someone asked. Because one of them told me. The screens changed again, showing a single figure. It was different from Ambassador Veltris. Smaller, darker. Its crystalline body was clouded, like glass that had been cracked and poorly repaired. This is Counselor Thrain, Yunbai explained. A member of the Concorde delegation. But unlike the others, Thrain has doubts. Thrain contacted us in secret 3 days ago. Thrain spoke, its voice softer than Veltris's sadder. I have served the Concorde for 200 years. I believed we brought peace. I believed we helped lesser species. But I have seen too much now. The species we help do not survive. They fade away. And I have begun to wonder if that is the purpose. Not peace, but control. Not help, but slow destruction. Why tell us this? Deho asked. Because humans are different, Thrain said. You fight. You struggle. You refuse to accept what others tell you is inevitable. Perhaps you can do what no other species has done. Perhaps you can resist. The transmission ended. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Admiral Park G1 stood straighter. We have 18 hours. The 7th defense grid is ready. Our ships are ready. Our soldiers are ready. The only question is whether we have the courage to use them. Deho looked around the room. He saw the fear in their eyes. But he also saw something else. Something that had carried humanity through ice ages and plagues and wars. Something that had taken them from caves to the stars. Hope, determination, the stubborn refusal to accept defeat. "Send a message to the Concord fleet," Daiho said. "Tell them that if they attack Europa, we will defend it. Tell them that we do not want war, but we will not allow our people to be harmed. And tell them that humanity has never surrendered. We will not start now." The message was sent. The Concord fleet did not slow down. Kim So-ra coordinated the defense from the command ship Taigu, orbiting high above Earth. She watched the enemy fleet approach Jupiter's moons, and she felt something she had not expected. She felt ready. "All defense platforms online," she reported. "Stealth frigates in position. First Fleet standing by. How many of them can we stop?" Daiho asked through the communication link. Sora looked at her screens. 200 enemy ships. 40 human vessels. The odds looked impossible, but she had run the simulations 1,000 times. She knew what human weapons could do. She knew what human crews could do. She knew the one thing the Concord had forgotten in 10,000 years of peace: how to fight. "All of them," she said. "We can stop all of them." Far away, at the edge of Jupiter's orbit, the Concord fleet prepared its attack. Ambassador Veltris stood on his command ship, confident in victory. These humans were primitive, emotional. They would break at the first sign of real power. He gave the order to advance. And in that moment, hidden among the moons of Jupiter, human weapons powered up. Human soldiers checked their gear. Human pilots gripped their controls. The galaxy had sent peace envoys. Humanity was about to give its answer. Ambassador Veltris had commanded fleets for 3 centuries. He had overseen the pacification of 4 species. He had never lost a battle because the Concord never truly fought battles. They demonstrated power. They showed inferior species the futility of resistance. And then they accepted surrender. But on this day, among the frozen moons of Jupiter, Veltris learned something new. Humans did not believe in futility. The attack came from the ice fields of Europa itself. Hidden beneath kilometers of frozen ocean, weapons platforms that had been silent for decades came to life. Beams of concentrated energy lanced upward through the ice, punching through Concord shields like they were made of paper. 3 ships died in the first second. "What is happening?" Veltris demanded, his crystalline body flashing with colors of confusion and alarm. "Unknown weapons," his tactical officer reported. "Our shields are not stopping them." "Impossible. Our shields can withstand anything in the known galaxy." "These weapons are not from the known galaxy, Ambassador. They are human." More beams struck from different angles. 2 more ships exploded. Then 3 more. The Concord fleet scattered, trying to find cover, but there was no cover. The weapons were everywhere, hidden in the ice, hidden in the asteroid fields, hidden among Jupiter's many moons. And then the human ships appeared. They came from the darkness like ghosts. 40 vessels against 200, but they moved with a speed and coordination that Veltris had never seen. They did not fly in the careful formations of Concord fleets. They swarmed. They darted. They struck from unexpected angles and disappeared before counterattacks could land. Kim So-ra commanded from the Taigu, her voice calm even as chaos erupted on every screen. "Strike Group Alpha. Target their command ships. Beta Group. Disable their engines. Gamma Group. Protect Europa." "Commander, they're launching fighters," her tactical officer reported. "Let them. Our point defense will handle it." The Concord fighters were elegant machines, designed more for show than combat. They flew in perfect lines, their weapons firing in synchronized patterns. Human fighters met them in the chaos between moons. The human pilots did not fly in lines. They flew like wolves hunting prey, each one independent, each one deadly. The battle lasted 11 minutes. When it ended, 40 Concorde ships were disabled or destroyed. Not one human vessel had been lost. Veltri stood on his command deck, surrounded by the wreckage of his fleet. His shields were gone. His engines were crippled. And through the viewport, he could see human boarding craft approaching. "Ambassador," his communications officer said, "we are receiving a transmission." Veltris waved permission, and a human face appeared on screen. It was Kim So-ra, her expression hard but not cruel. "Ambassador Veltris, your fleet is defeated. You can surrender now, or we can continue. The choice is yours." Veltris felt something he had not felt in 300 years. Fear. True fear. "This is impossible," he whispered. "You are primitive. Your technology is inferior. How did you do this?" Sora's expression did not change. "We learned." The boarding craft attached to Veltris's ship with a clang that echoed through the hull. Moments later, human soldiers poured through the corridors. They moved with practiced efficiency, securing each section, taking prisoners without unnecessary violence. The leader of the boarding team was a man named Choi Hyun-woo. He was 45 years old, with the build of someone who had spent his life in combat. But his eyes were not cruel. They were tired. He had seen too much death to take pleasure in victory. He found Veltris on the command deck, standing alone as his crew was led away. "Ambassador," Hyun-woo said, "you are now a prisoner of Earth. You will not be harmed. You will be treated with respect. But you will answer our questions." Veltris looked at the human before him. So small, so fragile, made of soft flesh that could be torn so easily. And yet this creature had just destroyed everything Veltris believed about the galaxy. "You have made a terrible mistake," Veltris said. "The Concorde will send more ships. 1,000 ships. 10,000. You cannot defeat them all." "Maybe not," Hyun-woo agreed. "But we'll try. That's what humans do." He gestured, and his soldiers led Veltris away. The news of the battle spread across the galaxy faster than light. The Concorde had been defeated. Not just stopped, defeated. By a species they had considered barely worth noticing. On the Concorde homeworld, High Arbiter Nalith received the report in stunned silence. Nalith was ancient even by Concorde standards, a being of pure energy that had guided the Coalition for 5,000 years. In all that time, no species had ever truly resisted. Until now. "Prepare the Armada," Nalith commanded. 1,000 ships. We will teach these humans the cost of defiance. But even as Nalith gave the order, other messages were traveling through the galaxy. Messages of hope. Messages of possibility. On a dozen conquered worlds, the pacified species heard what had happened. They heard that someone had fought back. They heard that someone had won, and for the first time in generations, they began to remember what freedom felt like, back on Earth. Yoon Dae-ho watched the captured Concorde ships being towed to orbital stations for study. The victory was real, but he felt no joy. This was just the beginning. "How many did we lose?" he asked Zora. "No ships?" 17 wounded. 0 dead. And the Concorde? 40 ships disabled. Approximately 2,000 prisoners. We tried not to kill unless necessary. Dae-ho nodded. "Good. We're not like them. We don't destroy because we can." So Ra was quiet for a moment. "The Armada will come. We hurt them today. They'll want to hurt us back. I know. Can we win again?" Dae-ho looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, 1,000 ships were gathering. Somewhere out there, an ancient power was preparing to crush humanity like an insect. But also out there, somewhere, were billions of beings who had forgotten what it meant to be free. Beings who had been told for generations that resistance was impossible. Humans had just proved that it was not. "We can try," Deho said. "And maybe, if we're lucky, we won't have to fight alone." In the detention area of the Taigu, Veltri sat in a cell designed for human prisoners. It was too small for his body, too dark for his crystalline form. But the humans had given him light. They had given him food he could absorb. They had treated him not as a defeated enemy, but as a guest thought. It confused him. A guard approached the cell. It was Choi Hyun-woo, the soldier who had captured him. "Ambassador, our Secretary General wants to speak with you." Veltris rose slowly. "To gloat over your victory?" Hyun-woo shook his head. "To ask for your help." Veltris stared at the human. "Help? After what I tried to do to your people?" "You were following orders," Hyun-woo said. "We understand orders. But now you have a choice. A real choice. You can keep being a weapon for the Concord. Or you can help us build something better." He opened the cell door. "The choice is yours." Veltris hesitated. For 300 years, he had never questioned the Concord. He had believed in peace, in order, in the slow, gentle extinction of dangerous species. But looking at this human, this small creature who had every reason to hate him, Veltris saw something unexpected. Mercy, strength, hope. Perhaps he thought he had been wrong about humans. Perhaps he had been wrong about everything. Slowly, he stepped through the door. The Armada came on a day when Earth's sky was clear and blue. 1,000 ships emerged from the darkness beyond the solar system, each one vast and terrible, their hulls shining with the cold light of 10,000 years of dominance. High Arbiter Nolith had gathered the greatest fleet in Concord history. There would be no mercy, no negotiation, only destruction. Yoon Dae-ho stood on the bridge of the Taigu, watching the enemy fleet approach. Beside him, Kim So-ra coordinated the defense, her voice calm as she issued orders that would determine the fate of humanity. "All stations report ready," she said. 200 ships in defensive formation. The defense grids are online. The colonies have been evacuated to underground shelters. 200 against 1,000, Dae-ho murmured. "Not great odds. When has humanity ever had great odds?" He smiled slightly. "Fair point." Admiral Park A1's voice came through the communication system. "First Fleet is in position. On your command, Secretary General." Dae-ho looked at the screens one last time. Somewhere out there, beyond the approaching Armada, Councilor Thrain was sending messages. Ambassador Veltris was broadcasting truth. The seeds of doubt were being planted across the Concord. But none of that would matter if humanity fell here today. "All ships," Dae-ho said. "This is Yoon Dae-ho. You know what we're facing. You know the odds. But you also know what we're fighting for. Not just our homes. Not just our lives. We're fighting for the right to exist. The right to be free. The right to make our own future." He paused. "The galaxy thinks we're dangerous. Let's prove them right." The human fleet surged forward. The battle began in the asteroid fields beyond Mars. Human ships moved like predators, using the rocks for cover, striking the Concord formation from unexpected angles. The enemy fleet was vast, but it was also slow, designed for overwhelming force rather than quick reaction. Humans were not slow. Kim Sora's tactical genius turned the asteroids into weapons. Enemy ships crashed into hidden rocks. Others were lured into kill zones where defense platforms waited. The superior numbers of the Concord meant nothing when they could not bring those numbers to bear. But slowly, inevitably, the Concord pushed forward. They were losing ships, but they had ships to lose. For every vessel humanity destroyed, 10 more took its place. The battle reached Earth's orbit. On the surface, billions of people watched the sky light up with distant explosions. They watched their defenders fight against impossible odds. And they refused to run out in shelters beneath the cities. Children asked their parents what was happening. The parents could only hold them close and hope. Choi Hyun-woo led the Marine forces from the Taegu's combat deck. When Concord boarding parties tried to take human ships, they met his soldiers in the corridors. The fighting was brutal, close, and terrifyingly personal. But Hyun-woo had trained for this his whole life. His Marines held the line. Hours passed. Human losses mounted. 30 ships destroyed. Then 50. Then 70. The defense grid around Earth began to fail as platform after platform was overwhelmed. And still, the humans fought. High Arbiter Nalith watched from the flagship of the Armada, satisfaction growing with each human vessel destroyed. These creatures had dared to resist. They had dared to challenge 10,000 years of Concord rule. Now they would pay. Target Earth, Nalith commanded. Begin bombardment. The Armada turned its weapons toward the blue planet below. This would end now. And then, something unexpected happened. Ships began appearing throughout the battlefield. Not human ships. Not Concord ships. Something else entirely. They were old designs. Ancient. Ships that had not flown in generations. Ships that belonged to species long thought pacified. Counselor Thrane's voice echoed across every communication channel in the fleet. Members of the Concord, I am Counselor Thrane. For 200 years, I served the High Arbiters. I believed in peace. I believed in order. But I have learned the truth. The species we pacified did not find peace. They found extinction. Their cultures were erased. Their people faded away. And we were told it was for the best. The message continued, showing the same images Deho had shown Veltris. The dead worlds. The empty cities. The forgotten civilizations. This is what the Concord truly offers. Not peace, but slow death. Not protection, but control. And now they come to do the same to humanity. A species that refused to surrender. A species that proved that resistance is possible. Across the Armada, doubt spread like fire. Ship commanders who had never questioned their orders began to hesitate. Soldiers who had believed they were bringing peace saw the truth of what they served. I call upon all who have doubts, Thrane declared. All who have wondered if there is another way. Stand down. Do not fight for a lie any longer. The first Concord ship powered down its weapons. Then another. Then dozens. High Arbiter Nalith screamed commands, ordering the dissenters destroyed. But the Armada was fracturing. Some ships turned on each other. Others simply drifted away, their crews refusing to fight. In the chaos, Yundeho saw the opportunity. All ships, concentrate fire on the command vessel. End this now. The human fleet surged forward one last time. Kim So-ra led the strike force herself, a ship cutting through the battlefield like a blade. Choi Hyun-woo's Marines boarded the enemy flagship, fighting through corridors filled with chaos and confusion. Nalith tried to escape, but there was nowhere to go. Human soldiers surrounded the ancient being, their weapons ready. Hyun-woo stepped forward, his face grim but not cruel. It's over. Surrender. Nalith blazed with fury. You cannot defeat the Concord. There are 1,000 worlds. 1,000,000 ships. This changes nothing. You're wrong. Deho's voice came through the communication system. He was broadcasting to the entire Armada now, to the entire galaxy. This changes everything. Because now they know. Every species that was told resistance was impossible. Every civilization that surrendered because they saw no other choice. They know now. They know that the old order can be challenged. And that changes everything. The battle ended not with total victory, but with something more important. The Concord Armada did not surrender. It shattered. Some ships fled back to their homeworlds. Others joined the growing coalition forming around Earth. Others simply drifted, their crews uncertain what to do next. The old order was broken. 1 year later, the first true galactic assembly met on Earth. Representatives from 50 species gathered in a great hall built for this moment. Some were former Concord members who had chosen freedom. Others were survivors of pacified civilizations, emerging from generations of silence. And leading them all were the beings who had made this possible. Yunde Ho gave the opening address. "We did not ask for this fight," he said. "We did not want to be warriors. But when the choice was submission or resistance, we chose to resist. Not because we wanted to conquer. Not because we thought we were better than others. But because we believed that every species deserves the right to determine its own future." He looked out at the assembly. So many different beings. So many different histories. United now by something stronger than force. The old Concord believed that peace required control. That freedom was too dangerous to allow. But they were wrong. True peace cannot be imposed. It must be chosen. It must be built day by day by beings who trust each other, who respect each other, who protect each other not through dominance, but through partnership. Ambassador Veltris stood beside him, no longer a prisoner, no longer an enemy. A friend, an ally. "The galaxy sent peace envoys," Deho concluded. "They demanded our surrender. But we had a different answer. Not war for war's sake. Not power for power's sake. But strength in service of freedom. Strength to protect those who cannot protect themselves. Strength to build a better future for everyone." He raised his hand. And across the hall, every representative did the same. "Today, we begin that future together." Outside the Great Hall, humans and aliens walked the streets of a city that had nearly been destroyed. Children of a dozen species played together, not knowing or caring that their parents had once been enemies. The sky was clear. The stars were bright, and for the first time in 10,000 years, the galaxy was truly free.